Hi, my name is Mindy, and I'm here to tell you about my first milestone. So my project is object detection with the Raspberry Pi, and the first thing we did is set up the Raspberry Pi. So we have our microchip here, which actually was first inserted into an SD card, which was connected to my computer, and we downloaded the operating system into the microchip, took it out of the SD card, and placed it into the Raspberry Pi. Then we also put batteries into my wireless keyboard and mouse, and this is actually the receiver from the wireless mouse, which goes into one of the 4 USB ports here. Then we also have our Pi camera, which was placed into one of these slots. This is the HDMI port that gets connected to the TV, and this is also the power cord that gets connected to an outlet. And so after we set all this up and connected it to the TV, the Raspberry Pi popped up, and I was then allowed to configure the settings. And afterwards, I actually got to test the camera on the first day, so I got to take a picture. And after that, I decided I needed to find out a little bit more about object detection, so I did some research, and the first website I used was the NanoNet's website. Unfortunately, it was a little bit outdated from what I've heard, so I just read through it just to get an understanding of what object detection is really about. For example, what I need to do, such as annotating the images, or how I need to train the data sets. And I just kind of went over the code, and I also talked to my instructor about installing either TensorFlow or OpenCV. So at first I chose OpenCV, but later I switched to TensorFlow since NanoNet actually uses TensorFlow, and I downloaded TensorFlow onto my Raspberry Pi. It was a little bit messy. I learned a lot of new things, like using pip3, not pip, when installing TensorFlow, and all these different kinds of different languages and code. And later on, I actually found code on GitHub that allowed me to just get the object detection up and running. I installed TensorFlow and OpenCV. It actually used both, and it actually had a ready-to-use model for me, and it was already trained and everything, so I downloaded that, and I finally got my camera to work, and it began to detect just regular everyday objects. It actually, we used a Korean melon though, so it actually identified it as either a banana or an apple, but that just showed me that obviously the model is not perfect. It cannot identify everything, but it identified many other things very clearly. It was a little bit slow. The frames per second was about 1.3, but I was still really happy that it worked and I really got it. It could detect objects easily. So that was my first milestone. Thank you for watching.